Friend, this is Jean Lundgren, who is one of the best people I know in the paranormal field, and I mean her heart. Um, we started our show with a segment from Santiago Cirillo, who is a retired military person. He is also an actor. You would know him probably best as playing in The Walking Dead.
Mm.
He was he's just really something else. And he is a program called Haya, the Haya Nation, and he supports people who are out of the military who are facing suicidal issues. And that's what Haya Nation is all about. Sandy is very open about having faced that himself, and he's still here, thank God. So now he is helping others who may not be in a position to get themselves through that. Jean, my guest, is retired military, is a nurse. She is a demon slayer, demon seeker. She is um, she's a archangel is her side personality, or that's not even true. Not that's not
She's,
her
she's,
side.
she's kind of front and center.
Yes, um, but you're a demon slayer. You're a consultant. You've been on paranormal shows, including Ghost Adventures. You've written so many books. Um, Paranormal Encounters 1 and 2, A Medium's Guide to the Paranormal, the Demon Seeker books, The Journey Begins into Darkness, um, Out of Time. You do all kinds of stuff. You are an animal whisperer, which has saved my animals over and over. And, it's funny because we've been on together so many times that even though you're way over there on the West Coast and I'm way down here on the Gulf Coast, I feel like we know each other so well. And I really value that with you. And
I value your friendship as well, very much so.
and do you my dog Heidi, which was the first one that I really needed help with,
Mm-hmm.
passed away. She had developed leukemia, and which was so unexpected and it was so fast. But you really helped her to get over her anxiety with us. And then we have Tipper, the mini Aussie, who is a nut, who I don't know that he'll ever fully understand, but he's much more comfortable now. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then our new rescue that I introduced you to this week, Wally,
Oh,
who,
yes, lovely.
what was so odd is that he imprinted on me when we met him.
Mm-hmm.
He's so big, but when we met him, he was so trepidatious with me. And I just got down like you would do with a kid, eyeball to
Mm-hmm.
eyeball. And I was like, you're safe.
Yeah.
We're safe. And ever since then, he has been glued to my hip. And he's the only dog I've ever had. And I've had medium, I thought they were big. But when he rears up, which he likes to do, because he's like, ah, and he's eyeball to eyeball with me.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't touch me,
No.
but he's eyeball to eyeball with me because he's chatting with me. And I'm like,
That's what happens when you have a human soul inside of you.
it's so wild.
Yeah. I've seen it happen many times.
Have you really? Is that
Oh, yeah.
something that is a recurring thing?
It's it seems to be they're drawn to me because of the angelic energy. So I've gotten a lot of. I have a friend that lives in Chicago, and his dog. He lost his dog of 14 years,
Oh, yeah, I
and the
understand
dog
that.
came back. And I told him, I said, "You understand? This is a human inside of a dog's costume, right?" He's like, "No." I'm like, "Yeah." I said, That's why you can hear him telepathically." I said, "Because that's the way it is.
Okay.
I hear all my dogs telepathically." I had a Doberman that was 200 pounds and 6 foot from nose to tail, but he had the gentlest soul, very gentle.
This one does.
Yeah, they usually do. The bigger they are, the gentler they are.
Well, and he was a true rescue. We get our dogs through rescue.
Mhm.
But he was a truly damaged dog who physically hurt,
Yeah.
who was pulled out from under a trailer, went through a rescue in North Alabama, and he got healed and everything else. And so now it's to the point that I'm it
Mhm.
and I travel. So I'm really getting a little concerned. So I may reach out to you later to
Yeah.
help him understand that just because I leave doesn't mean
You're
I'm
gone
not
for
coming
good.
back and he needs to trust his dad.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but, because I don't want him to be tripping out on this stuff,
Right. Exactly.
because he does have obvious,
Just a lot of emotional and psychological damage there.
yeah. But, well, they thought that the breeder or whoever had him that damaged him was male,
Yeah.
which that's not uncommon.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's one of the things out of all the stuff you do, okay, that well, your writing, I love your writing, but I just think that is such a powerful and wonderful gift that you bring to the table
Mhm.
because I'm an animal whisperer, but I'm not
Uh,
like you.
yeah, they've been coming to me since my mother dumped me on my grandmother at a month old.
Yes.
So, it's like they're forever in my life. I always have a dog, or I've got a barn cat. I've got 3 dogs right now.
Yeah. I'm down
Tapered,
to 2.
I'm tapered it down from 8. When my husband and I got married, we had a blended family, 4-legged.
Yeah. That's fun though.
Yeah.
We had the most we've had at once was 4, but we stayed at 4 for a long time
Mhm.
because, 3 kids, 4 dogs, the
Yeah.
dogs won.
Yeah.
So,
There-
but it's really so amazing to me that they are so spiritual.
oh yeah, yeah. They don't have all of our baggage. They don't have all of our worries, our preconceived notions. I mean, it's just they're closer to the heavenly realm than the rest of us.
I could see that. You know, I don't know that you ever met my dog Kylie. I don't think I
Mm,
ever showed you her,
mm-mm.
but she lived to 14 with
Yeah,
diabetes and
uh,
lost her vision
that's
and
very good. Yeah, it's very
still
good.
kept going up and downstairs, knew her yard like the back of her hand,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. I lost my Springer almost 2 years ago. She was 15 in 3 months.
Oh my goodness. I love springers. They're
Yeah,
so pretty.
I've got a new one this is her fourth incarnation. So with me, so it's like okay, back again.
Glad to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I am so, for one thing, every time we chat, even when we couldn't see each other, it was like a coffee clash, right? Talking about demons and spirits and investigating and all this other stuff that, most people wouldn't consider their morning coffee conversation. But we do.
Yeah, it's just run of the mill for me.
I
Because
know.
my husband, he's like agnostic, and he didn't believe in any of that stuff before he got married. But he's like he's seen things he doesn't never want to see again. I'm like, welcome to my world.
Has he seen you as Ariel?
Yeah, it freaks him out.
I could see that. I do have to tell you that my bestie, who is in chat, she's a we travel together, we hang out together, we talk every day, and she gets readings.
Uh-huh.
And as a rule, I don't. Sometimes somebody will ask if they can. Hello, Gary in chat, paranormal pastor. But I am so interested because she just had a reading,
Uh-huh.
and she has things that are changing in her life and things going on and whatever. And the reader knew her
Hmm.
and said things are going to start happening around you, and you're going to have to be really fierce
Yeah.
and stand up for yourself. And you're going to have to be in a take no crap
Yeah.
program,
Yeah.
you know. And so it was so because she knew you were coming on. Lori did. The reader did not. And Lori said, well, I always have angels. She said, well, you will have um, an archangel working with you. And she was like, really? Which one? And she said, well, Ariel. And so when Lori said, and she said Ariel, I said, well, you'll have to talk to June about that. And it was just like, she's like, that's so ironic. I'm like, no, because things happen the way they're supposed to. It's
Oh,
organic,
always, always.
And so, but I just found that to be something because she has listened to you every time you've been on with me over the years. And so when Shay said, well, it's Ariel, she was like, good to know. So, do you often, if somebody is not, I mean, because you're a demon slayer,
Right.
and I don't feel like the situation, and it's not my situation, but she doesn't seem to feel either that that's going to be what she's, you know, facing.
Hmm.
It's going to be people that don't want her to do what she wants to do to, in order to not upset their comfort.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's
And,
yeah, that's big. I know when I was in the military, I was stationed in South Carolina, and it's big Baptist territory. So
mhm.
they're not always comfortable with what I do either.
They are never comfortable with what you do. I'm just going to put that out there.
I was trying to be, uh, diplomatic.
I don't have to.
although Ariel is rarely diplomatic.
I was going to say that's not really,
I have
that's
to like
okay.
down, girl, down, down.
But go ahead.
But they have an aversion. They either think you're crazy,
Yeah.
or you're dealing with the devil. I'm like, I deal with them, but not that way.
He doesn't like me.
Yeah, well, Lucifer and I have a we get along when we need to. He stays clear of me, and I don't bug him too much.
Until somebody in his realm gets in the way.
Yeah, if there's somebody that gets in the way, then I tell him. Like I actually had an issue with his son once, and he was out to kill Ariel. So it's like, and I told him, I said, this is what's going to happen. I said, he's your kid. And Lucifer told me, he says, you know what? I do not agree with what he does. I do not agree with what he is doing. I do not have his back.
Okay. So open season.
Yeah, it was open season. And it was like, I knew he was coming. I know a lot of times long before they come that they're coming. And I took care of business on 8/18/18.
Wow.
Yep, it was his son died. So I told him, I said, it's all about, if he threatens me or he threatens the realm, then it's not my problem. He goes.
You know, people that don't know us very well are probably going, but they seem like such nice little old ladies. Right?
Hey, personal abuse.
Uh,
I never claimed to be nice except for to animals.
yes.
No, I'm
Well,
not nice to demons.
yeah.
So there we go.
Well, how did you know? I mean, we've talked a lot, but this is our first time face to face. I'm so excited about being face to face. I can't stand it. But you know, people that have not been able to see you when we were having conversations in the
Right.
past, um, I think that a visual helps a lot to understand better
Yeah, it just
what.
and most of the time people are like, "You're not what I imagined." I'm like, "What am I supposed to look like?" Well, my husband teases me, "Where's your gypsy earrings and your gypsy skirts and blah blah?" I'm like, "Come on,
And
give
your
me a
wings, where are your
break."
wings?
Yeah, they stay hidden
Yeah,
until you
until they're
until until it meets
Until it
something
don't.
it's not supposed to meet. There we go.
Right.
But it's like it's not that way. If you saw me without knowing what I did, you would never think that I do what I do. And being a nurse as well for over 30 years, it's just
Yeah.
that's the way it is. But you never judge. Too many people are like demons in the way that they only look at the outside. They don't look any farther than the outside of an
Yes.
individual. They don't look inside, and that's where demons. That's their downfall.
Do they not recognize you when they come up against you until it's too late?
It's not until it's too late, because she never comes forward until she's got him in her sights. Basically, that's why I said they'll look at me and they'll say, "Stupid human, I'll kill you," things like that. And that's being nice when I say that.
Right.
And it's like, you're in for a big surprise, honey.
You sounded almost Southern for a moment there.
Well, I grew up in Kansas first 5 years of my life.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Well, when you talk with me, like when we had that going on with Heidi, and then when Tipper was just so trippy dippy. But have you always like you were always one with Ariel? Have you always been an animal communicator?
Yeah, I can remember my grandmother. We're discussing things from the other side. She's been gone since '79. But she says, I remember when you were a baby and brought you home, and all the animals would sleep under your crib. They would never leave you. And she had cats, she had dogs, outside she had geese and what have you out there, because they had a farm as well. And she said, I always remember them. The first time I came into the crib to get you when you had woken up, and the dogs were all standing there, and you were sitting in your crib propped up against a stuffed animal. And the animals looked like they were listening to you. Their ears were up, they were tilting their heads. And she said, I knew at that moment that you were able to communicate with them. And she said, it was left for me to find out what else you could do. But she told me that she knew the moment that she held me, that I was the fulfillment of a prophecy that was prophesied in the family in the 1400s. And the prophecy was there would be born a female child into the family who has the ability to see demons in their true form, to speak with them, and to kill them. And she said, I knew the minute I held you that that's what you were meant for. She said, and I worried,
Sure.
But Michael was ever present, so the archangel, so I never had to worry about that. How I saw demons changed when I was about 4.5. And for the first time, I saw them in their true form. And it was scary for me. And Michael said, don't worry about it. He says, they can't see you. I said, I have made sure that they cannot see you. So all you have to do is watch them, learn how they work, what they do, what they're capable of. So when you're a kid, you think, oh, good, a game. So he said, you'll come to need that when you get older. And so I've always known that I was different, that there was something inside of me that was different from even my grandmother, who was a psychic medium. And it wasn't until I was 18 that, that he let the camouflage down, and I interacted with my first demon when I was 18 in the military.
Where were you?
I was stationed up in Spokane at Fairchild Air Force Base. And I had encountered them before when I was in the Army, but I had switched from Army to Air Force. And I had been called, I was working in the emergency room. We'd been called to barracks on base where a young man hadn't been seen for a few days. So basically, they were going to open up the room to see. They were expecting to find a dead body in there. It's basically what they were expecting to find. But I went in, and I had another tech with me, and we saw the young man curled up in a ball against the wall. I couldn't tell whether he was alive or dead at that particular moment. Right. So as I walked over to him, I realized that he was actually breathing, but it was very slow and labored. And then I heard a sound off to the left, and there was a demon up in the corner. And I'm like, oh crap, we got to get him out of here. And the tech that I worked with, his grandmother was a voodoo priestess. So
Okay.
she knew, he was familiar with things like that. We had long talks about it. And we got him back to the hospital, and we put him in an exam room. I went to get the supplies to start IV for him. When I came back in, the demon was leaning over him, starting to take his life force. And Ariel came forward and said, not this one. This one belongs to us. And whatever it saw in my face, it was gone in a split second. But it's, later I spoke to the young man. Somebody had put PCP in his soda. He was a
Oh
chaplain's
my
assistant.
gosh.
He was a chaplain's assistant. He wouldn't hurt a fly. Somebody thought it was funny. So he almost lost his life. So he said, I had the strangest dream. He said, I had a dream that a demon was trying to take my soul. And this woman warrior angel came in and chased the demon away. And I didn't say anything. The only thing I said to him was, well, God's got your back.
There you go.
So you don't have to worry about it. And that was it.
I think that that's pretty astounding. I think everything you do is pretty astounding. But what a way to kick off a lifetime of interventions of that nature.
Yeah, I was only 18, so there you go.
Well, did you serve overseas?
No, I was just trying to decide whether to get out of the military or, reenlist and go home or not. And they wanted to ship me over to Turkey, but my last name was Greek, so the Greeks and Turks have never gotten along. You couldn't have anything to do with Greek heritage if you lived off base, and that's where we would be billeted, was off base. And so I decided, it had been 5 years since I went home, so I decided to go home, get out.
Yeah. I was just curious because I feel like that would have been a whole different life if you were doing what you did and you were in other parts of the world.
Yeah, there are demons everywhere. I get a lot of requests from India, the Netherlands, Australia, England. I get them from everywhere. That people that need help.
How do they find you?
Usually they'll either hear a podcast or somebody will mention something, or they'll type in something about getting rid of demons. That's how my friend in Chicago and I met. Was he had been dealing with demonic issues for like 5-6 years, and he had tried everything under the sun.
That's such a long time for that.
Oh yeah, and they would do all kinds of things to him. They would physically attack him, among other things. And then he was searching, and then my name just popped up, and he didn't even put in anything. It just magically popped up. And that happens a lot with people.
Yeah, I was going to say that's not unusual.
My name just pops up, and they're like, oh, okay.
Well, what type of case was that?
He had a business of his own. It was a multi-million-dollar business. And one of the people that were working for him, she was doing harmful things to the other employees. And so he said, you know what? I can't deal with that in my business, and he fired her. And so she was Hispanic, and she went to a bruja, and the guy summoned a demon.
Yeah.
And attached it to him. And so, long story short, when push came to shove, I killed the demons, and then there was one last one, and I knew this guy had summoned it. So I said, "You're going to go back, and you're going to attach yourself to the gentleman that sent you, and I want you to make his life a living hell." I said, "If you don't, I will know, and I will kill you." So I never had a bit of problem after that. I don't mind doing things like that when people, It's people need to understand. This is what you're doing to people. Get a
Yeah.
little taste of your own medicine. I've done that on more than one occasion. I will not tolerate that.
There are all kinds. And you're very, very much more knowledgeable about this than I am. But in my limited experience, there are so many different types of paranormal investigator.
Yeah.
There's all different types of practitioners of magic.
Yeah.
There's all different types of, voodoo queens, Santeria queens. I mean, there's so much out there.
Oh yeah.
And people often want the control and power that they feel are vested in them when actually it's just the negativity that has the power that's
Right. Or
um,
the practitioner will summon a demon to do it. To do
yes,
its bidding basically. And
yes,
they just don't understand that they'll play along with the game for a little while as long as it
but they're
suits
not
them,
there for your bidding.
and then they're going to turn on you, and
Yeah.
then you're going to be sorry. I,
And
I've had that happen on more than one occasion. People get a hold of me because they had summoned it, and now it was fighting back, so to speak. So I told them, I said, that's what you get for summoning it. I said,
well,
you're lucky that I'll take it away. I said, I won't take it away twice.
there you go. And that's one of the things about you that really strikes me is that you take it away that first time,
Yeah.
even even knowing that they did summon that with harmful intent towards someone else. And I've found, and correct me if I'm wrong with this, over the times that we have talked and with personal stories people have shared with me, things that I've researched and seen, when people bring bad to other people, I know that for a while there it can seem like they're getting what they want, that it's
Oh yeah.
nothing more than this.
Mhm.
But almost every time, I find that it never ends well for them. It
No.
may seem so for a period, right?
Right. It's
But
the demon will play along. I mean, as far as the demon's concerned, we're stupid humans.
yeah,
And, it bides its time. It has all the time in the world.
yeah. And I mean, this is going to sound crazy. I'm going to say it anyway because you know me well enough to know I am crazy. But little things like movies like Weekend at Bernie's is a case in point.
Oh, yeah.
Um, yeah, it's a comedy,
Mhm.
but especially with the second one, there's not a lot of explanation about why. And there's other movies where the dead or should be dead
Yeah.
are rejuvenated,
Uh-huh.
or
Yeah.
brought back,
Yeah.
right? And it's just like, this isn't funny, people.
Yeah. Well, it's
You
like
should not be doing that.
people think it's funny. It's like, and dealing with demons is not like TV. It's not like you see on TV. It's like, don't say, get out of here and they're gone. That doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. And people, I've run into people that are paranormal investigators and they're provoking. I'm like, how stupid can you be? Why would you provoke something you can't see, you can't hear, you can't feel, you can't touch, and who could
Or
kill you,
control.
kill your butt?
And you have no
Yeah,
control.
no, absolutely no control.
And if you feel like you do, you're living in an illusion.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
control is an illusion anyway. I mean,
yeah,
you have too many outside external factors.
yeah. Kind of like, I do want people to know, and this is completely off topic, but I didn't say it at the beginning of the show because of the button. So I do want to say that, y'all are listening to Fate Magazine Radio, and the owner of Fate Magazine, my boss, my friend, Phyllis Scaldi, lives outside of Asheville, North Carolina. And right now, I haven't heard from her yet, but I do know that cell telephones, um, power, water, food, everything else. She lives up on top of a mountain, so hopefully she's safe. But so many people are not.
Yeah.
And back in the day, where my mom used to go to church, would say that hell was unleashed. And for a lot of people that are coping with this, I'm sure that they think so. Um, my friend in Belize actually had their high water marks passed and their waterways, covered, and the storm reached that far across the Gulf before it
Yeah.
came into the U.S. And so we have two more coming behind it at least. So there's going to be not just this immediate need, we've got to get these people safe and taken care
Yeah.
of, but there's two more coming behind it. And, you know, hopefully it won't be what Helene was,
Yeah.
but it was only a four.
Yeah.
Ivan and Sandy and Sally that hit Gulf Shores. I mean, Katrina, those are fives.
Yeah.
So it gets worse than what we saw. So if you chant, if you pray, if you whatever you do to support other people, if you could be, thinking of the people that are dealing with this storm all over. And Steve Deshavi lives down near Tampa. So I mean, I have friends that were in the way of this everywhere.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people with a lot of need, but there's the potential to have a lot more people with a lot of need too. So I just wanted to put that out there. And Phyllis, when you see this, we love you and we are praying for you so much.
Yeah. Prayer is
And
a powerful thing.
it is a powerful thing.
Yeah.
It can change the world.
It can.
I'm a firm believer in that. Hence my tree of life. Whoops, wrong way. Tree of life, as well as my alien, plus my angelic cycle over here that William Henry drew. I mean, I'm a great big believer in positivity and faith in God, and asking for things is
Yeah.
very powerful. So you
Too
gotta
many,
ask.
too many people do not ask. They just assume that the other side is going to figure out, oh, they need that. Okay. But they don't. You
No,
have to ask. You have to ask.
especially if someone has a specific need.
Yes.
So Phyllis has goats, and I'm sure that she's probably trying to chase them. Goats and chickens. So
Oh yeah, yeah. You got to corral them.
yeah. So her goats are always running away. But she
Oh yeah,
had she had her hips replaced and she was out chasing goats. This lady is a badass.
yeah.
So
Sounds familiar.
just saying. But well, I know that you were you did the your female paranormal team whose name has just
Ghosts and Girls
Ghosts and
Paranormal.
Girls. And why did you go? Did you intend for it to just be female?
Yes.
Why?
It started with my friend Wendy. She's like, we need to start a paranormal thing. I met her several years ago, and I'm like, well, we can call it. I said I deal with negative entities, so so I decided to call it Ghosts and Girls Paranormal, specializing in negative entity identification and removal. But I will not have anyone in the group. It's a group of, we just added someone else after 10 years, but it's a group of people that I know that won't freak out or have issues with negative entities. You cannot do that. You cannot be fearful of them because it makes you a target.
Mm-hmm.
So, and when I created the logo, I had the logo made up of one girl in the front holding out, a recorder and peeking around the corner, and then the other girl's behind her. And then behind that girl, there's a ghost looking worried and afraid. And I'm like, it's funny because what I do is dark. So you got to have a sense of humor. Come
Well,
on.
sure you do.
Life's too short.
It is. And it gets shorter all the time.
Oh, yeah. Not getting any younger, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Got a birthday in a couple of months. It's like, oh, God, really? Already?
I know, right? I'm November. So,
Yeah, me too. Me too.
yeah, what day?
Scorpio, November 10th, the Marine Corps birthday.
7th. I'm full blown too,
Yep.
but on the
Yep.
7th. So, do you find that that star charts, birth charts, and such, do they really matter?
Personally, to me, no.
Yeah,
But they, there are people who totally and completely believe in them. I'm not going to
sure.
nit some about it because it's whatever you believe in. And did have a friend of mine do a chart for me, and then my friend in Chicago, and he's 3 days. His birthday is 3 days after mine,
Mhm.
but it freaked her out. She says, "I've never seen two charts that were not related that are exactly the same."
Get out.
Yeah, she says, "I've never seen it in the 20 years I've been doing this." I
That's
said, "Well,"
cool.
I said, "I never said I was normal." Yeah,
Nothing about us is normal.
yeah. What can I say? And nothing about him's normal either. He's the one with the demonic attachments.
Ah, okay.
We've known each other since 17.
I've never I've never been able to have a star chart because I people insist on knowing what time of day I was born,
Oh yeah, yeah,
and I'm
yeah,
like, I have no idea.
yeah.
Alabama birth certificates don't have that information on them.
Well, that's kind of weird. Yeah, it's like I have a friend that's her name is Maria Gomez, and she is an astrologer. She's a very, very good one. She's
Mhm.
also has intuitive abilities. So whatever, she'll give me some information about something that pops up, and I'm like, and she's usually right on. So it's like, okay, I'll watch for that, or I'll avoid this, or what have you. But she's really good at it. So it's if somebody needs one, she's a girl, and I'm telling you, she's very detailed. And like I said, for me, they don't really seem to deal with that, but she's right on.
Well, I've just always wanted to have one done, but I have no idea, and it blows people away that do those, right? And I'm like, "No, really, here's my birth certificate. There's nothing on here
Yeah,
about
a
the
lot of
time
time,
of day."
in the old days, I never did that.
Yeah.
I had one on mine, but probably because my mom was swearing through the entire time.
Well, I got here because my they walked hills trying to get me out, right? Because my dad was shipping out to go to the Berlin crisis,
Oh yeah,
and his unit had already left, and they were letting him stay until he couldn't,
right.
you know, but when he couldn't was gonna be the next morning.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they were out walking up and down hills and all over neighborhoods, and
Yep, trying to get
finally,
the baby out.
yeah,
Hurry.
I showed up, but,
Yeah.
it was crazy. And Gary, thank you for those prayers for all the people that are affected by Helene and in the way of these other ones coming. They're all gonna need them.
Yeah.
I have mine too. But, it was so crazy because I had no idea that that was a thing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
No idea that that was a thing.
Yeah,
So,
you try to get the person to walk, to exercise, to drink water, hot water, because you have usually the diarrhea will happen before the as the baby slips down and starts
oh,
crying.
okay.
So, like when I had my son, it's like one of the docs I worked with said, take a bottle of Milk and Mag and he'll be here if he's ready. And I took a bottle of Milk and Mag at like noon,
A whole
and I went
bottle?
a whole bottle, and I went into labor. I went into labor at 2:30 a.m. and he was born at 10 minutes to 10.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
he
a
was in a
lot of
hurry.
milk of magnesia.
Well,
That's
it was a small bottle. It wasn't a giant one. It was
oh,
a
okay.
small,
I've only
like,
seen the big
oh
ones, so
yeah, they have the small ones, but that was enough. And sure enough, there he was. And I told the doc, I said, yeah, remind me not to talk to you again.
ever, ever again.
I said, it never stopped going. She said, well, at least you had the baby. I said, yeah, I know. He was in a hurry when he was born. 11 pounds, 4 ounces, 22 and a half
Jiminy
inches long.
crickets.
Yeah. He's a big
Yeah.
baby. He's 6'4" now. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, it is so funny because if you start with big babies, you tend to stay with big babies.
Yeah, yeah, you do. My grandmother's first baby was 12-pounder. My grandma was all of 5 feet.
Get out.
Yeah, yeah. She didn't see her kids
Okay.
for a long time.
That's worse than the demons. So,
Yep, yep. It's like, oh no, I'd rather face a demon, thank you, than go through that
yeah.
again. Yeah, but I was lucky. I only had pain for the last hour of my contraction, so I was good.
I'm gonna I'm gonna suggest milk and magnesia to everybody then.
It works because
If
that's
that
one of the first
works.
things that happens. The bowels clear, and there you go.
There you go.
Yep.
Well, well, I am just so blown away by that. That's something good to know.
Yeah.
Well, tell me about, okay, I know Demon Seer is you.
Uh-huh.
Okay. But tell me about Demon Seekers.
Demon Seekers is based. The books. It's a series of 7, and the
Hmm.
first 2 are out. It's based on the archangels that are born in physical right now. The first one, Demon Seekers: The Journey Begin, is based on me. The second one is based on a friend of mine in Glasgow, and he has Hanel the Archangel on him, and it's based on him. And I know where the other 5 are, and one's in Paris, one's in France. I mean, one's in Paris, one's in Italy, one's in England, and there's another in the United States as well.
Do you know the person who is in the United States?
Oh yeah, he has Techelon in him. Techelon was the general in the army, a general of the armies, heaven's armies, in the war between heaven and hell. He came
So,
to me. He was into drugs and said he's never been like this before, and he thinks he has a demon, attached to him. And the minute I removed the demon, he never had another drug since then. And I told him who resided within him, and he's been doing the work ever since, helping people.
well, are there, it doesn't sound right to say, but there's lesser demons. Are there lesser angels?
The hierarchy goes God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit, and then there are the Legion of Light, which is comprised of Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Ariel. And then there are the other archangels. The Legion of Light is over all of the other angels and all the other common souls. Then you have the warrior angels, which are next in line. And then you have the common angels, and then you have the common souls.
Well, I know someone that I think would probably be a warrior angel. You and I have talked about him in the past.
Yeah, I'm sure he
You-
is. And a lot of them don't, because 99.9% of angelic beings that are born into physical, they have no idea of who and what they are. They will have an idea that they're different, they have abilities, but they don't know their angelic name. They don't know that they have an angel inside of them. But I was born knowing what was inside of me. But
Mhm,
that's different because Ariel was meant to be a demon slayer. And
mhm.
she's the only archangel in the 7, among the 7, that is a demon slayer. The rest have other specialties. Each warrior angel, each archangel have their own specialties, their own, shall we say, it's like warrior angels. There are healers, there are strategists, there are warriors, there are uh, communicators, all different aspects. It depends upon what the specialty is for that warrior angel. And the warrior angels are trained by the Legion of Light, and they have to meet very strict criteria in order to become a warrior angel. It's not just any angel can be a warrior angel. It's very strict that you have to have an absolute 100%, million percent faith in what you're doing and in God, and and would never stray from the light at all. If there's any doubts, then you can't become one. It has to be 1,000% or nothing.
Well, the warrior angels, did they do they incarnate through
Yes,
humans?
Yeah, yeah. It's like,
And then they
and
reincarnate through once that human is
yeah,
gone, then they
once they're gone, it depends. If the warrior angel was sent by God for a particular mission, then it's up to the warrior angel whether they come back or not. 9 times out of 10, they will not wish to come back because, like Ariel, they don't want to be subject to a shell. Because they're restricted, and it's hard for them. Warrior, Ariel and I have had many conversations about it. She says it's so much heavier here in the physical world than it is on the other side. We don't have the sense of heaviness. We don't have the sense of time. We can, with the thought, we can be on the other side of the universe. It's not like, you have to get in a plane and go to England or whatever, and it's just, and when they're born, in fact, I'm writing a book about it. When they're born, it's the problem where you're at your most vulnerable because you cannot speak, you cannot express yourself, you cannot fend for yourself in any way, you cannot defend yourself or protect yourself, from the negative entities or anything else for that matter. So that's the hard for Ariel. That's the hardest part. Until she reaches the age of about 14, it's hard for her. It's hard in the first place, and without being able to assert yourself or to do what you need to do, and you don't drive or you don't fly or whatever, it's very hard. And of course, down here you need money to do anything. So there you have it.
wow. That's an aspect of what I've learned from you and her. That's an aspect that I really had not considered, because
Yeah.
it just seems like if you were coming back, that there would be methodologies in place to protect you, right? And
It's
there's
like
not.
God threw you in the middle of a battlefield, buck naked, with nothing to defend yourself, and says, "Go for it."
That's
That's
got
how
to be
that's
so
how I look
reassuring.
at it. And you have to,
That's so
you
reassuring, Maud. I
either
mean,
come across somebody. No, I know you either come across somebody who can help you to understand what's going on and train you, or you get somebody, or you just have to figure it out by hit and miss. And some of the things that are out there for information are so dead wrong. That's why, in the last 3 years, like I say, I've over 3,000 warrior angels have come to me because they don't know their name, they don't know what their specialty is, and they don't know what they should be doing. So I give them the
wow,
information that I can and help them as I can.
that's so bizarre.
Yeah, it's like, well,
I would think
you're on the
that,
other side. You don't need anything like that. You don't need protection. You don't need food. You don't need money. You don't. You have no sense of time on the other side because a moment over there is like 5 years here.
yeah,
So it's displaced. It's very there, especially God, who's never had physical form. The archangels have all had physical form, but it's been so many billions of years ago that it's hard for them to remember. The only way they can understand is when Ariel returns to the other side, she lets them experience what she experienced. So they get a greater understanding of what's going on in the physical world and how people are trying to deal with things.
do I've never talked to you about this part of stuff. This is fun. Thank you. But do do warrior angels, or any angels,
Uh-huh.
really, this is a really jacked up time period
Yeah.
here,
Oh, yeah, it is.
and it has been for some time, and if it continues, it will become more jacked up. And do are warrior angels coming to you because they recognize that, are they being activated and recognizing that there's a need?
3 years ago, God said, it's time. I need to activate the warrior angels. So for the last 3 years, they've been activated and they're seeking help, trying to find out where they can help, what they need to do to help, and who and what they are, and hone their abilities in order to help. And that's 3 years ago was when the changes started. We started the lights starting to penetrate and starting to push back the dark ones.
Mm-hmm.
And I do so many battles, I cannot tell you, and it's not just one-on-one. It's a battle against an army of darkness. And unfortunately, the ancient demons, who you rarely ever see or hear about, are becoming more and more prevalent. And I've been having to kill them a lot lately because they interfere, and they don't act like other demons. When you
In what
kill a
way?
demon, and when I kill a demon, it turns into molecules, and it's forever gone. The molecules float into space. An ancient demon, is more like, if you kill them, you behead them, or whatever you're going to do to them. It's almost like blood that spills, but it's not really blood. It's the darkness within them that spills out. And they have what a lot of people call reptilians
Mm-hmm.
working for them. And the reptilians are the servants of the old demons. The old demons do not have the same set of criteria. It's like, let's go directly to the person and make their life miserable. Okay, they don't do that. They go behind you. A good example is, say you go for an interview for a job, and the person says, you know what, you're just what we need. We're going to hire you. We'll be in touch. Don't worry about it. I'll give you a call next week. The ancient demons will go to the people behind that can do you the most good, and they will change their minds. They will create problems so that you don't get hired for that job, or you don't get to go here or there, or you have an accident going here, or the flight is canceled going there.
Mm-hmm.
They work behind the scenes so that you can't really throw them under the bus like you can the demons, the regular
Right.
demons. These guys kind of try to throw you under the bus.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, the activation that kicked up, is that going to be an ongoing thing? Is
It
this
is. It is. It's constant now. From the moment
is
he
it
started over 3 years ago, it is all the time.
is it going to be all the time?
Yes, it will
Forever,
remain
ever.
until they're all activated at this moment in time, and then when the new ones are born, it's the same. There are over 300 billion in spirit form walking the earth, so it wouldn't be unusual to see one.
Mm-hmm.
People tell me, I think I saw one, blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, they're here, they're around.
Yeah.
They know their job, they know what to do. They report to the Legion of Light if there's something that's of utmost important. They're front and center, and they'll take it to the Legion, and the Legion will act appropriately.
That's kind of alarming.
It is, but we're getting we're getting the upper hand, and we have
Well,
been for the last year. So it will continue, because the thing is, people don't understand. Demons evolve. They change, just like angels evolve. They
mm-hmm.
change the way they work. They find new ways to get to people, that they never used to do. Like right now, it's like in this day and age, in our generation, with the computers, they can travel through the computer, they can travel through a radio signal, they can travel through your cell phone. They can, the ghost to ghost wires, they travel all over the place. And if you're on the phone to somebody and somebody's having a problem, they can travel through that line to you, and then you'll have a problem. It's happening. It happens all the time. People don't understand that they can do a lot of different things.
Well, I didn't understand that.
Yeah, it's It's not just, oh, I'm going to have oh, that person looks like I'm going to attach myself to them. That's not how it works. They can also jump from one person to another. And
I have.
they can jump from an object onto a person.
I thought that I had seen that. I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very much so.
You know, when if people are if people are convinced that they're magical, okay, and they set about to, a lot of people run into this. I've run into this, but people convince themselves that they're magical, that
Uh-huh.
they have negative skill sets, that they
Uh-huh.
can wreak havoc in someone's life,
Right.
and then they set an intent to do that.
Right.
Can a regular blah, 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 can a regular human do that?
Yeah. You've got, it's all about, one of the first things I learned on the other side was that it's intention is
Hmm.
powerful. Thought becomes reality, and it's the intention behind the thought that gives it the power that it needs for either good or bad. And stop and think about it. If you've ever come upon somebody and you just, the minute you see them, it's like, whoa, they're going to do a wide berth with this person.
Yes.
The energy is bad, you know. But people, 99.9% of the negative energy in the world comes from people, not demons. Only that 0.1% comes from demons. We
Isn't
don't need
that
no
interesting?
we don't need no help. The humans got it all down pat. They can do that. They can send that intention. If they it's all about their belief in their self. Like, oh, I can send a rock to fall on that person, and I'm going to make it fall on that person. It won't be like a regular rock. It could be like bad things happen to them or whatever.
Hmm.
But it's all about the intention. If people realized how much energy they put forth into negativity, and the power that you can get from positive as well as negative, it's like I think people would really change.
I think so too, because um, and I feel like the law of attraction, like if you do bad, then bad comes back to you. I don't know that I believe that. I think that's something that people put forth to make
Yeah,
themselves feel better. I
right.
mean,
Or they will, I had a client recently that, he's like, this person is a Santa, Santa Maria,
yeah,
practitioner, but a bad one. And, this is happening, that's happening. And I found this, this dead animal skull under my wood and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, and how did that make you feel? Because, he's of that belief. So it made him feel like somebody's, after him, somebody's
right.
set on him. And I told him, I said, that's 99% of it is, going to scare you. They'll scare you because they know you have that belief set,
Right.
and they'll do whatever they can to make you think that they're powerful. When in actuality, they have no power whatsoever.
Yeah.
The only power they have is what you give it by believing in that.
Yes. I mean, yeah.
I mean, there's a
And
lot of Santa Maria practitioners that are very, very good, and I'm fortunate enough to have encountered quite a few good ones. Just like there is voodoo priestess that are very good
yeah,
and believe in the light, But there's yin and yang. There's good and bad in everything.
always.
You know, you can't rule it out and say, well, all voodoo priestess are bad or all voodoo priestess are good. No, it's people. It's based on people, whether that person is a good person or not. Got nothing to do with the practitioner. It's like God said, I didn't make religion. It's man's answer to put a
Yes, it
square
is.
peg in a round hole. He says, I believe people should
Yep.
be spiritual, not quote unquote religious.
Well, I will tell you that I have been led through several different religions through my adults, right?
Yep.
I have always found that my relationship with God is much better when my exposure to Him is through a natural environment
Right. Exactly. I mean,
because it's a natural
you can
connection.
sit in a church every day of your life. That doesn't make you a good person. Doesn't make you a bad person. It's all
Just makes
about
you a person.
you get in, you get out what you put in.
Hmm.
If you put in good and you're good to people. I asked God one time, I said, well, what about people that, do this or that? And he says, I judge you by your heart, not necessarily by your actions. And he said, that's what people need to understand. And he said, that's why he says, I want you to, that's what made me write the first book, The Medium's Guide. He says, I
Hmm.
want you to tell people, I do hear you. I do listen. But what you want is not necessarily what you need. He says, I give you what you need.
I always had a hard time with that when I was
Yeah.
younger.
Yeah.
It's like, but I
Well,
prayed for this. I
yeah, right.
prayed
Why
for
can't you
this.
give it to me? Yeah, I know,
Where
right?
is this?
Right.
And
You
that
have to
the
work for it.
prayer,
Nobody's going to give it to you.
well, and the basis for that prayer, for that want,
Yeah.
sometimes there were needs, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But they didn't come, the answers didn't come the way I anticipated them coming
Right.
because I had a specific idea of what I wanted to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was not God's plan for
No,
what was going to happen. And it took
exactly.
a long time to learn that. I finally
Yeah.
just had to quit and say, you know what? Okay,
It is
this
what it
is an
is.
impossible situation that I'm
Yeah.
experiencing and I don't know what to do. So if you could just please open a path and make me aware of that.
Right.
So I'm not being a stupid human,
Right.
and
Help to guide me.
spinning my
Give
wheels.
me a clue as to what I'm doing wrong or
Yeah,
whatever.
I need guidance.
Yeah.
And the guidance always shows up.
Exactly. Because you don't try, and you can't force it. You can't say, "Well, if you're really God, you're going to do this for me or do that for me." It's like,
Bad
yeah,
choice.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God.
And every time I ever have been like, this has to happen now,
Yeah.
it's like crickets.
Oh, yeah. Right. Really?
Crickets.
Okay. How's that working for you?
How's that working for you? Are you trying to tell me what's best for you?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It,
it
everything
never
happens
do that.
when it's supposed to, and not a moment before.
And there were times that if it had come a moment before, I would have so blown the whole I
Yeah.
would have just blown my life up.
Yeah. It's. He knows when it has to happen,
Yeah,
and your soul knows when it's supposed to happen. If
yeah,
you can make that soul connection, then you
yeah,
can realize, oh, you know what? That's why I didn't show up, because this was going to happen or that happened, whatever.
yeah,
And I didn't know it was coming, so there you go.
yeah.
But I'm glad it didn't happen. Otherwise, it really would have been bad.
And other times it's like, boy, I really wish I hadn't pushed that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like,
Because now look at what I'm having to fix.
right.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, is your husband an angelic being?
No.
That's why you freak him out?
Yeah. He's a common soul. Yeah, he says he's agnostic. He believes in a higher power, but doesn't give
Yeah.
it a name. He's very scientific, very left-brained. He's an auditor. He's a retired auditor. He believes
Yeah.
in that he
That's a
can
special person.
touch, feel, see, hear.
Yeah.
Until he married me, and some of the things he's seen, he don't want to see again. So there you go.
My husband is kind of that way, and it's really funny
Yeah, we're like
because
total
he's
opposites.
yeah. I mean, my husband is a mathematical guy.
Yep.
He is a machinist. He is a chess player to beat the band. He is so
Yep.
good. And, it's so funny because I'm kind of over here on the side going, whoa, I'm going to do this and watch this. And he's just kind of like, yeah,
Yeah. Right. Whatever. Yeah. I know
I'm
my
right
son.
here.
Our son asked my husband one time. He says, "You believe in what mom does?" And he says, "Listen, I've seen the good she does." And he says, I believe in her.
Yeah,
And he says, I'll back her anytime, anywhere, because I've seen the good
that's
she
good.
does,
Yeah.
and I will always back her 100%.
You can't ask for more than that.
No,
That's some love.
yeah, especially from a guy who can do trigonometry in their brain, and I can't forget it. It's not
Drives me
happening.
crazy, right?
I know,
I
I can't
mean,
do it. Nope,
I'm
sorry.
not that girl.
Nope, me neither.
And I
I
married that guy just like you. And it's just like, How did you do that?
I can make it through algebra, but that's about it. They ain't
I,
getting no farther.
I struggled with algebra too. It was
Yeah,
so hard for
doesn't make
me,
sense. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. But then
but I can
a lot
write
of things,
anything.
yeah, and a lot of things I do don't make sense to him.
Yeah,
So, but it works. So that's the main thing.
I know, right? It's a good balance.
Yeah.
So, well, I am so I am so interested because I know that you know an awful lot of stuff. But I wanted to ask because, you're one of the things that you list yourself as is consultant.
Yes.
What do you consult on?
On I have if I get a team like I remember my first one, out out of Canada, they were having issues. They had one of their team that would provoke, and the he felt like this thing followed him home, and he wouldn't admit that there was anything there, and that of
Oh,
course it spread to the rest of the team because that's how demons work. So I told him, I said, this is what you have. I'll remove it, but this is what you have to do. I said, he has to stop provoking. I said, if he keeps provoking, and especially if it's in a place with known negative entities being cited, I said, he's going to have a problem.
hmm.
I said, the first and foremost advice I can give you is if you see something that you believe to be negative, do not acknowledge it. To
At
acknowledge
all.
it is to make it see you. You can't acknowledge it at all. You can't say, "Hey Joe, I just saw a shadow person," because then
Okay.
then it makes the shadow person turn and look at you and say, "Oh, well, there's a likely candidate. Maybe I'll just follow him home." And they do that. They'll follow you home like a puppy, and but only unlike a puppy, they make your life miserable.
Well, it depends on the puppy.
So I get a lot of requests for, we have a case. This is what's going on. What is your take on it? They'll send me information on. I tell them, I said, don't. I go in cold. I said, don't send me any information other than a picture of the location or a picture of the individual, and I'll do what I need to do.
Okay.
I've
So,
run into too many people that I know of one guy who would say, he would do. He belonged with a group, and he would go and do all the research he could find on the location, reviews, anything, historical documents, everything. And he would set himself up as, oh yeah, when he would go to location, he'd be all like, well, this is who's here, this is what's there, this is what we need to do, blah, blah, blah. When he hadn't really a clue as to what was there,
hmm.
what was going on at all. But he made out like he knew everything, like he was 100% psychic medium and could sense all this to communicate with them. And it's like, really? Okay. I've got more ability in my pinky than you have in your whole body.
Yeah.
I was talking to a mutual friend, and I said, "This is what I'm getting." He says, "Yeah." He says, "I got the same thing." It's like I don't get it. I'm like, "Okay, okay, I'm good then. All right, so okay, it's not just me."
That's a riot, though. I
It
mean,
is. I've had people contact me. I had somebody from Kansas contact me saying, "We hired this guy to remove the demon, and he came out of the house with a bottle of water and said, 'Oh, I have the demon trapped in here.'" And he dumped the water out, said it's gone now. And he charged him $1,800 for that. I'm
oh
like,
my
I'm
gosh.
like, really? I said, is that why the demon's still there? And they're like, yeah, you're right. The demon is still there. I'm like, yeah, I know. It's like too many fake ones. Too many fake
There
ones.
are.
I
There's
don't
so
like
many
it at all.
charlatans.
I don't charge for demonic removals. If somebody wants to make a donation, cool. But otherwise, it's God's work. And you don't do
Mhm.
that. And it's only been lately, like the last 5 or 6 years, that I've even accepted donations because I told God, I said, that's your work. You don't charge for that. I don't get paid for it. He said, he says, I will allow you to receive donations if the person feels that that's right. I said,
Right.
okay, fine. But otherwise, no.
Well, I can't imagine handing somebody $1,800 to pour water in my lawn.
And that's just the bottom part. The airline ticket, a hotel room. Yeah,
Well, sounds like a lucrative, you know,
yeah. Not anymore. Not after I got through with them.
yeah, that's
I know
crazy.
none of that stuff.
You
I don't
know,
like people that scam people and take their heart. This was an older couple who didn't have the money in the first place, which really pisses me off.
no doubt.
Yeah,
I don't I don't like stuff like that either. And I also, yeah, because I've investigated paranormally and I've been to a lot of public locations with different groups and I've
right.
done residentials and I don't like residentials with people that they just I don't like that.
Yeah,
I I don't know everything, obviously,
right.
but I don't like going in with someone who everything is, you know, if you're going to be tooting your own horn,
Yeah,
then you're not there for the right reason.
exactly. Yeah, I've run into
And
that as well. Yeah,
the first time I walked into a residential investigation with the team local to me, I was just walking through the house,
yeah,
and this guy that was like the psychic of the area
yeah,
popped out of a room. He said, "Oh, you're Kat. I've been wanting to meet you. Oh my goodness, your abilities are stronger than mine." And I'm like, "I'm just here."
yeah.
I mean, I didn't
Just
know him from
along for the
Adam.
ride.
I didn't know him from Adam, and he didn't know me.
Yeah,
And I'm like, I don't do that.
yeah.
I
That's
don't tell people, you know, what I do
yeah.
as a
When I
rule.
yeah, it's like when I go into a location. It's like I know before I even get there, I know where the demon is. I
Hmm.
know if there is a demon. I know where it is. I know how it got there. I know what it's doing to the people. And I don't. I'm. I was. I'm honest when I say that Ariel is not a diplomat in any manner, shape, or form. I mean, just
I would not
she's she,
imagine her to
she's
be.
she's there for one thing and one thing only: to kill the demon and
Yeah.
anything else that gets in her way that's negative. So it's like Wendy, which is my partner. Larissa is the new girl that's joined our group,
Hmm.
but Wendy's more of a diplomat. She's the talker. I just go directly where it's at, take care of business.
Right.
It's like I don't chit chat until after the fact because I'm not going to sit there. One of the things that's an issue is some people might think that I'm very unemotional when it comes to dealing with, when I go into a location, dealing with people. But it's not true. I am empathic, but I had to shut that down long ago because
Hmm.
when you're dealing with demons, you cannot, that is a weakness. They will use it against you. If I can feel the emotions from the person that's there, they're fearful, they're sad, they're anxious, then that makes that person a target. The demon will switch and go to that person and attack them. And I learned long ago you can't do that. So I shut it down. I know what they're feeling. I know what the person's feeling. I know what they're experiencing. But I'm not going to show that emotion because to do that would make them a target. And I can't have
Hmm.
that.
Yeah.
Absolutely cannot have that.
It's I said I don't tell people what I can do like I'm some big, whatever. I'm not. But I do recognize energy.
Yep.
And sometimes it's alarming because the energy recognizes me.
Uh,
And that will make me go, hmm, I don't know if this is because I'm supposed to be here or because I'm not the one who's supposed to be here. And so I just try to do what I can,
yeah.
you know, and I've only had one instance, and it was an accident that somebody was doing something that they thought they knew how to do but didn't. They
Uh-huh.
were trying to clear do a Reiki clearance on
Uh-huh.
somebody that had so many attachments. And I felt
Yeah.
something hit my elbow, and it felt like a prickly,
Uh-huh.
the little prickly ball
Yep.
things.
Yep. Yeah.
And so I turned around and grabbed my elbow just in time to see the guy with his hands like getting ready to, because he was just going across him. And then instead of throwing it to the ground, he was just doing his hands like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, stop, because you just slung something on me. I don't even know what this is, but it's very uncomfortable. And what are you doing? You
Yeah.
know? And so I came home, and the sensation continued. And so I reached out to a Native American friend of mine that just happened to be up and said, look,
Uh-huh.
this just happened. Can you scan me and tell me what this is? Because I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh my goodness. Yes, I can. I will take it off, but you're going to have to heal your aura because that damaged your shield,
Yeah.
basically. Because
Yeah.
my shield's up a lot. But I didn't think I needed it then. So the lesson learned, always have your shields up. But
Yeah. Yeah.
it was bizarre. It was
Yeah.
truly, I mean, it was truly
Yeah.
a physical impact.
Yeah.
And, but I did what my friend told me to do. And 2 weeks later, she was like, I've never seen anybody heal their, you know, aura, their shield that fast. I was like, well, you told me what to do. I did it religiously. I did not
Yeah.
like how that felt. I'm not
Yeah.
going to be vulnerable like that.
No. No. It's
And
never
so
good.
I did learn the value.
Oh yeah. That's why it bugs me when people will say, I'll tell them, make sure that before you go do the investigation that you protect yourself,
Mhm.
say prayer, so for protection and for guidance. I said, too many people think, oh, I'm going to wear this crystal. That's going to do it. It's going to protect me. Crystals only amplify energy. The energy
Yep.
is put into it. They do not. They do not help. And the poor rocks are saying, we don't want to. Get it out of here. Get it away from me.
We need to sit in the moon for a while. We're out.
Yeah, yeah, we
Yeah.
need to be cleared. Thanks. Okay. But there are very few things that will protect you against a negative entity, and
Yeah.
that's where there's so much disinformation out there. It's
There
absolutely
is.
ridiculous. It boggles the mind. But I try to, when I do a lecture or I do a class, I try to make sure that I tell people, this is what you need to use. Nothing else is going to do it. I wish I could tell you that everything would protect you 100%, but I can't, because there's always that off chance that you get a hold of an ancient demon, and
Mhm.
or an old demon, and they're 10 times, the ancient demons are 100 times stronger than Lucifer.
Mhm.
So it's like, and the old ones are just as powerful as he is, and they're just as smart as well. It's the young ones that are like hormonal teenagers,
Right.
running rampant. But you always have to go into anywhere, any location, as if there was something there. Always protect yourself, and when you finish, you know, thanks for the protection. Give thanks for the protection, and just do what you can. It's People think it's like I tell people, a crucifix with the image of Jesus on it is a great protection, but but you have to have faith in that
Mhm.
image. You have to have faith
Yes.
in that crucifix, because people say, well, just a plain cross. I said, no. I said a plain cross is a symbol of his death. It's not the symbol of the resurrection. I said you have to believe in him. I mean, it's like
Good
those
point.
who,
That's a
those
great
who,
point.
yeah, people who believe in him, you know, then that's it in a nutshell. You have to have the strength. I don't care if it's the star. If you're Jewish and it's the Star of David, if you have absolute faith in that and the protection that it can afford you, then you got a 50-50 chance. Really, you do.
Well, I appreciate that knowledge because I actually have a cross, and I took this cross to a friend who is a priest, blessed it for me.
Uh huh.
It's a beautiful cross. I love it. I found it at a con that I was doing.
Uh-huh.
And so I do have confidence in it because I feel it.
Yeah. You
I
can
feel
feel
it when it's on
the
me,
energy,
and I
yeah, the
know it's
energy from
blessed,
it.
and it
Yeah.
was blessed by a priest.
Yeah.
And so I am I am always confident when I have that on.
Right.
And I
And
lost it for a while when somebody was actually sending stuff to me,
yeah.
and that disappeared. And I was like, no,
Make sure it has good clasp because they can rip it off of you.
it's on a ribbon. So it's on
Yeah,
a ribbon.
I've seen demons rip them off
I'm
people.
sure. I'm
It's
sure
like
people can. Yeah.
everything is strong. Okay.
Yeah. I don't trust chains.
Yeah, yeah, you
I
have
don't
to.
trust chains.
Yeah, but yeah, the blessing should be on the whatever it's attached to as well,
Mhm.
and it will be if you have that belief in it because
Mhm.
the crucifix is blessed,
Yeah.
but also you have the belief set that anything it touches is protected,
Yeah.
and that's important right there.
Well, we have a comment, and it's from Lori Dorsey that says, I pray to surround me with white light. Does white light protect you?
Yeah, it does, as long as, like I said, as long as you have the belief in it, and long as the white light, you pull the white light from the heavenly realm
Mhm.
into you. Yes, if it's
Yeah.
just like the light from a light bulb, forget it. But it
Yeah.
has to have that meaning. You have to have that belief system.
Well, that's interesting because I've always wondered, different people have asked to surround us with white light, and I'm just kind of like, I'll do my own. But thank you. I mean, yeah,
That way, I'm doubly covered.
I'm so I don't trust other I trust Lori's. Lori's my best friend.
Yeah,
We travel together, we investigate together. We travel to investigate together. I
right.
mean, but I've had
But,
people that I'm just like, I got
yeah,
this. Thank you though.
and you don't know how strong their faith is, how
Hmm.
strong their belief system is.
Yeah.
They
And
can say it, but the proof is in the pudding.
yes, it is. Yes, it is. I have had I'm sorry, I have to drop down here for a moment because I just got my plug came off of my computer.
Oh,
So it said, plug me up. There we go. Okay. But anyway, what is so interesting to me is that so many people, I'm going to irritate people, but I need you to answer this question. um, I have traveled with people also who were witches who practiced dark art witchcraft,
uh-huh.
and there were they were I'm going to protect you with my stuff, and I'm like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
You know, how if somebody is trying to cover you with black magic protection, I mean,
Yeah, no, it's not
isn't
a
that
good. It's not a
counterintuitive?
good. Yeah, it's counterintuitive because
Yeah,
because it's going to attract dark. Dark
yeah.
attracts dark, just as light attracts light.
I'm a light girl.
Yeah,
I'm all
yeah,
about light.
yeah,
Um, there's so many things that you know so much about,
yeah. It's
and
well, if the person is well-meaning, that's fine. But I would tell them, I prefer to do my own. Thank you though for the offer.
well, it's well-meaning, but if I don't believe that that's a true protection, it's not going to
It's
do me
not going
any
to work
good.
anyway. It's not going to work anyway.
Yeah, you have to have faith in that,
Right. And you don't have any faith in that. And they may have all the faith in the world in that,
and they do,
but it's not going to help you
right?
because you're the
And
one who has to have the faith in whatever it is.
right, because that's my being
Right.
that is behind that.
Exactly.
So, what is I know that you did all kinds of stuff when you were younger. as you were coming into your knowledge base. Have you ever done something that made you go, that was stupid? Or does Ariel just kind of step out and keep you from having those, brain fart moments?
Well, she, most of the time, you know, when I was younger and I was dealing with them, she would like, that's not how we do it. Don't do it. You don't do it that way. This is how we do it. She's always very good about instructing, or if there's something, like if I'm looking at a picture of something and I don't see it all, whatever's there, I don't see everything. She'll say, look deeper, look farther,
Okay.
change how you're looking. Or say, I can see through her eyes, or she'll say, look through my eyes and you'll see, you know, this is how to work it. So you learn, you never stop learning. You always keep learning. And as demons evolve, you have to find new ways of acting what they're doing, and ways of catching them and finding them.
You said that, things started really ramping up 3 years ago.
Yeah.
3 years ago, when darkness started ramping up, did people who were being activated as angels ramp up?
Yeah. It was like, because it was starting to ramp up, that's when, because God and I were talking, and he says, things are increasing, starting to ramp up. So I'm going to activate all the warrior angels that are in the physical world, in physical form. And so that's when he started to do it. And it's like their abilities came through better. They got stronger, and they sought out people to help them understand, who and what resides within them. And not everybody knows about warrior angels. And it's kind of a niche all of its own. I've been dealing with them all my life. So really, it's only been the last several years that I've been, having to help more and more warrior angels after the awakening happened.
Yeah. Well, it just seems it's not political, right? It's just what creates that?
Well, the dark ones, if you stop and think about it, what better way to make people's life a living hell is to get to someone who has the ability to influence millions, billions of people. I mean, on a grand scale. So, political leaders, religious leaders, us people that are social media leaders, all kinds of things like that. These are all people that have the ear of billions and billions of people.
Okay.
So, what better way to influence than to go behind the scenes and influence?
Well, I see. I get a lot of that. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Our politics runs that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
but when it's a demon running the man behind the curtain,
right,
then it's a whole nother situation.
Why haven't you slain him?
It's remember I said everything happens when it's supposed to, not a moment before.
Okay.
If they're still,
I meant the demon, not a person.
I know, but if the demon is still attached to an individual, and God says, this is not the time yet for you to go in, then I have to abide by that. I cannot say, to hell with you, I'm going to do it anyway.
Well, no, you don't want to say that to God.
No. That would not go over. That would not go over too well.
There would be so many repercussions for that.
Oh, that's what got me into this mess in the physical world in the first place. Was 1198 AD. A woman cried out and said, "Help me! I have a demon possessing me." And God said, "Hey, you Ariel, get your butt down there and take care of that demon thing." So I went down and I just Ariel went down and ripped the demon out of the woman's body. the physical body died,
Ah,
and the soul went to the light. But God said, that's what the God called. I got called. Ariel got called before God and said, "Hey, this isn't the first time this has happened. You have no compassion for mankind, no caring." Said, "You're going to go back and live physical world lives." And she's like, "Anything but that. I do
no
not want
doubt.
to be in the physical." And she told him, she says, "This woman summoned the demon, and then she asked us to remove it." I said, Ariel says she'll only do it again. And he says, that doesn't make no difference. You can go back and live physical lives until you have compassion. So she's finally got it in this lifetime. It only took her 131 lifetimes to do it, but she's finally got there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say she was stubborn, but she is,
Yeah.
all the above.
Well, kind of hard not to have a high opinion
Yeah,
of your knowledge base when you know what you are.
yeah. I've had people say, "Oh, yeah, you're arrogant." I said, "No." I said, "If I didn't know what I know, and if I couldn't do what I said I could do, then you can call me arrogant." I said, "But when I can do what I say I can do, and I have the knowledge that I say I have, then
It's just who
don't
I
call me,
am.
just call me that. It's who I am." I said,
Yeah.
"And I'm the one that you call when you need help."
Well, I just find it so fascinating. And I find this fascinating. But I am I'm so blown away because the first time we talked, I wasn't sure, right?
This woman's crazy. Okay.
Well, it didn't take long to know that you were not.
Uh,
Okay. It did not take long to know that you were not. And maybe 5 minutes in.
People always
And
say, you act like it's everyday thing. I said, but it
it
is.
is.
I deal with it every day.
Mhm.
Why wouldn't it be an everyday thing? I said, it's just something I deal with. It's part of what I do. It's part of me.
Yeah.
And people are glad when I help them. And that's the best part of it all. They get the help.
Well, I did one of the things that I steer clear of, like, you know, my religion is to not be political here ever.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't
So,
discuss politics.
yeah. Well, I was a political science major, so I find politics fascinating, but it's not something it's not something that I like to have in general conversation
Yeah.
because
No.
I would never ever want to insult somebody for their feeling, their belief, whatever.
Right. Right.
And, everybody has them, everybody's entitled to them, and everybody does their own research to get to where they believe what they believe.
Yeah,
But
the difference is I see what's behind everything.
exactly. And that makes the whole thing so much different.
Yeah, I have a
And
different take on a lot of stuff, and I don't talk politics because
well, because
it'll open up a whole new can of worms.
it does, and especially with a knowledge base like that, it's
Yeah,
not a good thing.
no,
And one of the things that always surprises me is the fact that nobody seems to realize that outside of the Middle East is not where any of the stuff is going to happen.
right.
Okay. you know, this
Uh,
is going to be
well, look at
where,
Abraham Lincoln. He said, if America goes down, it'll happen from within, not without,
yeah,
not from the outside. And he's
yeah.
right.
And, it's just like people worry about the end times and stuff. And it's like, why are you worrying about it? Because you don't have a lick of control over that.
Right,
And things have been prophesied, things are in place, things will happen the way they're going to
right,
happen.
right,
And don't be so arrogant as to think that you can affect that.
right.
You
It's
have to figure out how to cope with it for you,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
but you you are not going to change things because this has been prophesied for millennia.
yeah.
I mean,
I mean, it's not something that one person's going to change.
no. And it's just so people need to continue living their lives.
Yeah, you have to
And
survive. You have to
yeah,
live each day, really live, and not just exist.
yeah. And I find more so when I was younger, but I would find myself just living, just get through each day.
Yeah.
When I had a lot of stresses, a lot of responsibilities, and all I did was get through the day. And that was my challenging period, right? We all
Yeah.
have them.
Oh yeah.
And so now I get to talk to people like you. I get to talk to, you know, people on the science side. I get to talk to religious people. I get to, and
Cool.
so I get a lot of input
Yeah.
that
Exactly.
I enjoy. I love I love learning.
Yeah. It's my grandmother always taught me. She says, just never stop learning. She
Mm-mm.
said, you always have to continue. I was always an avid reader growing up. And I get that from her because she would go to the downtown library and she would come back with books that were like 6 inches
Yeah,
wide, and there'd be a stack of them, and she'd read them all in a week and go back for more.
that's pretty good. It
And
was
so
survival mode.
yeah, she was like, read. Knowledge is power.
It is.
Always continue to read.
And,
So
although,
so now I write.
well, I read, so it's all good. But actually, I'm working on writing. But I mean, what your books do is they bring the world of demon seers, demon slayers, you know, all of that into the realm of, okay, look, here's a primer to understand this.
Yeah,
All you have to do is just, if you don't agree with it, that's okay. Treat it as fiction, but you still need to be exposed to this information because it can really help.
I remember when I wrote the first book, "The Medium's Guide to the Paranormal,"
Hmm.
and people were reviewing it, and one professional guy said, he said, "You may not believe everything she says, but it makes you think. It opens your mind to the possibilities."
Yes, we
And
should always have input.
that was the best review I've ever seen.
The
I
best
like the fact,
compliment.
yeah, I like the fact that it does. It makes you think, and I write in such a way that people say, "Well, you write in such a way like I'm sitting down talking to you," and I said, "Well,
Mhm.
that's the way I write." I said, "I don't want to write. I don't want to write in such a way you can't understand me, or the words are too big
Or
you can't
talking
understand,
down.
or talk
Yeah,
down to you." Yeah, because it's
yeah,
that's why I write for people that don't know anything about it, and move into the people that even the experts can find something in it.
yeah. Like the reviewer.
Yeah, they don't always know. It opens up, if it opens up your mind and makes you think, or makes you more aware, then I'm good. I've done what I need to do.
So people should start with the Medium's Guide to Paranormal.
Yeah, it's the
So,
basic thing. It's got the
right.
basic stuff in it. Yeah, and then if they want information about the dark side, the Medium's Guides first is a good one, and
Mhm.
then the Dark Side of the Paranormal is one I wrote.
Yeah,
It's a not a very long book, but it's jam packed full of information about the dark ones and how they work and what you need to do. And then Demon Seer was written about today. Demon Seer, the Awakening. It's written about how things are being affected today in the world and how the demonics affect it. The next one, God wanted me to write a series of three, and that was the first one. The second one is supposed to be about what I call upstairs, the light realm,
mhm,
and the good, the bad, and the ugly.
yeah,
There's a lot of things that have been handed down from generation to generation that are like, really, give me a break, you know. And they're all for it. They want, God says, they need to know, they need to
people do
understand.
need to know.
Yeah, he
That's
says
important.
it's not. People don't just think that we're gonna like, drop everything and do this for you just because you want it. You know, you need to ask for help. You need to ask for something. Be specific. Be simple. I tell people, If you're going to ask for something, the best way to do it is to write it down, because when you write, you concentrate.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about, and write it as simply as possible. Simplistic is better, with as few as words as possible. Don't make it into a big lifetime story. One sentence with, this is what I need help with. This is what I want to achieve. And it helps them to understand better, because if you start putting in a bunch of other stuff, they're like, huh, you lost me chapter 3. Just put it down
Yeah.
simply. And if you write, like I said, if you write, you concentrate, so therefore it is, you put more energy into it.
Well, that's logical because, I don't know about everybody else, but I like not necessarily spoon fed
Uh-huh.
information,
Right.
right?
Right.
But I like something that I can grasp easily.
Mhm.
And because your topics are pretty complex, right? This is
Yeah.
not
Yeah, that's not all. It's not all
easy.
simplified. I tried, when I write, I try to simplify it as much as I. My son's a good one. He's like, "Dumb it down, Mom. Dumb it down." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay." So I try to write as simply as I can, and then, like, some of the books have glossaries in the back with terminology. What I mean when I say this, or what I
Hmm.
mean when I call it this. Because people have, there's different definitions. People have different ideas on what something means. As
Yeah.
opposed as when I'm writing it, this is what it means when I'm writing it. This is what I mean when I talk about it.
That's actually very smart.
Because not everybody knows, when you say a ghost, what's a ghost? What's an earthbound spirit? What
Hmm.
do you mean? What is an angel versus what's a warrior angel, or a common soul, or whatever.
What is a common soul?
Common soul is a soul, yeah, and it's usually a younger soul that has not evolved to the point where they have learned everything that they can learn, and have grown uh, in mentally, emotionally, as well as it. We were all, at one time, we were all physical beings,
Hmm.
billions of years ago. And when we evolved into pure energy. But God found us and said, you know what? We're gonna we're going to wait until everybody evolves into pure energy. And he had helped us get rid of famine and war and disease. And our whole goal was the pursuit of knowledge. And so that's what we did. When everybody evolved, we all moved as a group together to see everything that could be seen. Worlds being created, uh, uh, you know, uh, beings being created, suns disappearing, burning out, black holes. We saw everything. We traveled for hundreds of thousands of years to see everything we could, to learn everything we could. And that's when we said, we've been doing this a long time. We've seen everything we could see. How about we become physical again? And that's when Lucifer said, this is not what we want. We don't want to be subject to a physical shell, pain, growing old, disease. We're not having it. So that's what started the war between heaven and hell.
Really?
But they weren't really hell, because we were all white light beings at one time. And when Lucifer was defeated by Michael, and his son was defeated by Ariel, then God said, you can't live among us, because it's not like it's not going to happen again. So he opened up a rift into a dark realm and put them in there and said, here you go. Here's your kingdom. Live in it. Enjoy it. And he sealed the rift. But over time, they found ways to get themselves into the physical world by creating dark portals, or, or people, or having people, summon them, whatever works. Anything that they can to cause problems.
Wow. That is so interesting. I didn't know that, and we've talked for years.
Oh yeah, so people don't understand that there was no hell before. It's like there was just, we were all white light beings, but Lucifer wanted to be in command.
Hmm.
Long before that happened, God created the Legion of Light
Hmm.
with Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Ariel. He said, "You're You're the most knowledgeable, you're the strongest, you're the elite. Said, so I'm going to create a legion. You will train the warrior angels. You will train the other archangels and be in charge of them. So that they've been doing that for billions of years. And it's so that's why they never incarnate, because they have a job to do. Ariel too, but she had to learn. And this was the best way for her to learn. She doesn't think so, but God knew that if she went down and lived lives, she would learn. And whenever she got through with the lifetime, she would go back. She would let the Legion experience what she experienced. She would tell God. She'd go to a debriefing, so to speak,
Right.
and then she'd start all over again.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so interesting to me, because it's almost like being on a D-loop.
Yeah.
Until you get it, right?
Yeah, till you get it right. Yeah, it's like you keep going back till you get it right. I'll let you know when you get it right. There you go.
It's Groundhog Day every day.
Yeah, every day.
Wow.
Yeah. So this
That's,
is the last lifetime she has to live. So she's happy.
well, it's so cool because the first time we talked, I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm talking to an archangel. What am I going to do? I'm going to mess this up. And I did okay, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you came back.
I put my pants on the same way everybody else does.
And you came back.
Yeah.
So,
like, yeah, okay.
Over and over, and I'm so glad.
Kind of like when I was in the military, the brass put their pants on exactly the same way as us enlisted people. It's all the same. One leg at a time.
Well, because otherwise you fall down.
Yeah, exactly.
No matter who you are.
Don't go there. I have in the past.
I've done that, doing it one leg at a time. So
yeah, it'll do it to you.
But I'm just so glad that I found you all those years ago, and that you've taught me so much, because it's very overwhelming what you do sometimes. And I mean, I'll just be somewhere experiencing something, and I had a time period a couple of years ago that I found myself in a very bad situation with people that do practice dark arts, whatever.
Yeah.
And these were really ugly acting people.
Uh-huh.
And I was in kind of a vulnerable situation, not as vulnerable as they probably thought I was, but,
Uh-huh.
And it was just like, some of y'all have known me for years, and this is what you think is a good thing to do. Because not through any, well, that's not true. It was through some of my skill sets, but, mainly the thing that I'm always kind, unless I can't be.
Right.
And so people respond that way. And what they tried to make be a negative thing turned out to be a thing that they had wanted to have happen for them, was where their behavior put me. And I was just like, I wasn't asking for this.
No.
But I got it.
Yep.
Because your negativity created a situation where that's what was given to me.
Yeah. And it's usually a test when things like that happen.
And, it was comical almost, had it not been quite so weird. But, with what you're talking about going on now, good wins.
Yeah.
Always.
It's always the light always distinguishes. Light always pierces the darkness.
Yeah.
You can't stop it.
And if you've ever doubted that, try to go to sleep in a room when it's daylight, even if you've got good curtains.
Yeah, even if you got blackout curtains.
Yes, because they don't.
Oh no, I used to, before blackout curtains. I used to work nights when I was working the wards, and it's like, oh really? Okay.
That's just something. I have mini blinds and well, not have I have slatted blinds and I have dark out curtains in here because this is my office, but it's also a guest room.
Uh-huh.
So I try to accommodate people,
Yeah.
and so it's just kind of like it's never dark in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, not when it's daylight. And I thought,
Yeah.
well, maybe I won't have anybody that's working third shift being in this room.
Yeah. My
you
house
know,
is my house is always full of light. I can't stand it if it's not light.
I'm
And I
like that
think
too.
that's from dealing with the dark ones.
I would think so.
Yeah.
You know, I have I don't like being around darkness.
Yeah.
And unless I'm outside watching the stars,
Yeah.
then I like darkness.
That's totally different. Yeah.
Yeah. And tonight we're supposed to have our new moon.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
So the
You see,
second one.
it's not even dark out here. The sun's still up.
That's
So
true. But it's almost 9 here. But what is up with I mean, I figure you talk to God. So what
oh
is
yeah,
up with all this astrological stuff that's happening? So
it's a preparation
yeah.
for the change for the light.
Well, I think that it's really cool.
Yeah.
I was reading something, 'cause it's what I do, and the thing that they thought could possibly have been a spaceship, the great big ancient thing that just kind of cruised through. Well, I was reading an article that said it's coming back, and I'm like, how can it come back? It's not in an orbit. It was
Yeah.
just kind of
Just
moving
passing
through.
through.
And so the article said it looks like it's coming back. And I'm like, well, then we need to be, really ready to explore that when it gets here because that should not be happening.
Right.
It
Exactly.
didn't hit a turn. It didn't hit a
Yeah.
roundabout or
Yeah.
something. There's not one out there.
Exactly.
And so I always wonder, and I'm because I know that you know things. And I also know you can't necessarily tell everything that you know.
No.
But if I were going to ask somebody that, is this like, you know, are we fixing to have experiences that would be surprising to our ancestors that they could happen? You know,
In some ways, yes. Other ways, no. The thing is, God doesn't like the extraterrestrials.
yeah.
He doesn't like them interfering.
Well, didn't he create them too, though?
Uh, not to do what they are doing.
Okay.
Some of the things that they do is like that's why we're able to get some of the spaceships and things like that and we do have them
Hmm.
that we can take apart and figure
Yeah.
out things from. And so and he's the one helping to you know do that, to bring down the spaceships so that we can gain more knowledge.
Well, I know that I've talked to some of the pilots that have seen these things in action and some who testified, you know,
Yeah.
and I've had conversations with them. And the whole thing is that these weren't individual craft. These were fleets of craft.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're
And
not like one. That's it. It's not. There's
no,
not.
and that's why the military was that's what created the primary concern was not that they're alien.
Right.
Okay. It was that they're presenting a hazard because they are, they're cloaked.
Yeah.
And all that needs to happen is just one person, either kind of craft,
Yeah.
to make a mistake or zig instead of zag,
Yep.
and you have a catastrophic
Event. Yeah.
event.
Yeah.
And, you know, even the pilots are like, you can't see them clearly,
Yeah. Well,
but
I
you
imagine
know that they're
not.
there.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
You're aware that they're there. And if it had not been the Nemitz's, you know, group
Yeah.
radar, they'd
Yeah.
never have gotten them because that was a brand new radar system. And that's why they could tell because Kevin Dave was a radar operator who radioed and said, "We've got something here." And that was also a fleet. And, that
Yeah, it'd
was,
be different if it was the occasional one, but it's not.
there shouldn't be a fleet
No,
if they're not looking for trouble.
exactly. I
So
agree.
that was something that blew my mind. It still does blow my mind. I find it very interesting, though, because I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I love learning about that. And, there's a group here called Scientific Coalition on UAP Studies that are some of the smartest people on the globe working on that topic.
Yeah.
And they started in Huntsville around the NASA people.
Yeah. They've got a
And
long way to go.
they do have a long way to go.
Yeah.
But it's so fun.
Yeah.
I
It's a
think it's
lot. Yeah. There's a lot that they don't understand that'll be revealed.
well, the dynamics,
Yeah.
right? The aerodynamics are a huge thing. And then the personal interactions are a
Yeah.
different thing because they're not very respectful. And there's all of that stuff.
Oh,
But
yeah.
it's bizarre.
It is. I've
I just,
I've encountered them before, and you have to shut down because they're looking for people with abilities,
uh-huh.
and so I was like 8 months pregnant. It was in the middle of summer, and I had a big picture window and I had a couch under it, and I'm like, oh no, you don't. It came over my pasture land and stood there for a while, and I could hear what they were thinking.
Uh-huh.
I shut myself down, and it just like went straight up. It disappeared.
Well, because they're looking probably for people like you.
Yeah, they look for people to. It's all about creating. They're losing a lot of their abilities to procreate.
Uh-huh.
So that's why they're
Test
looking
tubes
for that.
only go so far.
Yeah, especially with people that have abilities, because that's
Yeah.
how they communicate is telepathically.
Uh-huh.
So it's like, okay, yeah, not on my time, thanks.
I am not your subject.
Nope, I'm gone. I'm out of here.
Well, we are going to have to go. We've got just very few minutes left. Do you want to tell people how to find you, or you want me to?
Oh, you can go to my website, which is mysticconnections with an s.org, or you can demonseer.com. They both feed into the same website, but there's a contact form in there. If you want to get a hold of me, there is my books are there, but you can find all my books on Amazon.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to be the Oregon Ghost Conference is the 21st, 22nd, 23rd of March 2025, and I'll be lecturing and teaching a class at that particular ghost conference. It's a full weekend. It's a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm working on a new book called The Angel Primer. I've got the book completed. I just all the information's in there. I just need to put it into the right sequence of events, so to speak. And
What
then I
class are
have
you? I'm sorry.
I'm going to be teaching about paranormal investigating and protection.
Uh-huh. I figured people would want to know that.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot. I usually end up being too full. Like, okay, I have the biggest class. Okay.
Well, but you know what? That would be the one I would choose. I do cons, and I do like go to lectures and stuff like
Yeah,
that. And
yeah. I have some
this
friends
topic,
that are coming from
oh,
England, and they're going to be with me.
well, we have a question from Autumn that says, "Are you available for readings?"
Oh yeah, if you go to my website and you look under the merchandise tab, you can pick a reading I do. There's one for animal communication, 30-minute reading, hour reading. I do mentoring as well. It's all in there.
Well, I just think that's so. I think it's so great, and I'm so glad that I found you when I first started doing this,
Even though
and
you thought I was crazy, okay.
not once I listened to you, it didn't last long. But
Yeah.
and I didn't think you were crazy when I invited you. I mean, or I wouldn't have invited you because I don't do crazy. I don't mind
I don't
doing
do, I
different.
don't do it either.
I know. But I mean, I don't mind doing unusual. I don't mind doing something that I don't have a knowledge base on. Because if I, like with this, before I invited you, I researched
Yeah.
and got a little bit of a knowledge background so that I wouldn't sound like a total dweeb when we spoke. But still kind of did. But I'm just, like I said, I'm so glad that you're here tonight so that we're face to face. And because that to me is a real honor. I love talking to you, and getting to talk face to face with you has been just so awesome.
I always enjoy talking to you. You always have good questions. You're very intelligent, and I just love being on your show.
Thank you. Well, good, because I'm going to be calling you back.
Okay. All righty.
And thank you for everything that you've done for my animals
Oh yeah, always,
and
always
me.
there for 'em.
So, for everyone listening, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I know June does too. And I hope that you had a good time and learned a lot. We'll be back. Wednesday night is Paranormal Experienced. It's going to be awesome. So, same cat time, same cat channel. And be blessed. And please do keep everyone who has been in Helene's path, who has had their life rocked in any way, in your prayers, and just be sending them all the comfort, the energy that you can, because Lord knows they need it.
Yeah.
And check with your Red Cross if you're so inclined, or whoever. Um, there's going to be real needs coming up. So
Yeah.
thank you again. Good night, Jean. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Always, always a pleasure.
Me too.